This is the story of the saddest boy that ever lived. Joshua Verde was 6.5, average size with fair brown hair. He lived with his mother and 2 older brothers in a mansion atop a hill surrounded by a forest on the edge of a small country town. It would be an understatement to say that Joshua lived a tragic childhood. Joshua's father Angus had disappeared off the face of the earth about a year ago. Joshua had been terribly miserable ever since, so miserable in fact that he had stopped speaking altogether. As well as being his father, Angus had been Joshua's best friend, greatest ally and absolute favourite person in the entire world. It seemed to Joshua that the entire world hated him. Even his mother seemed as though she couldn't care less about him anymore. Poor Joshua felt so alone. Joshua's father Angus had been a writer and had been fabulously famous and wealthy. He had written vast quantities of novels and even more picture books over his 44 years of life, his imagination continuing to grow and expand throughout. Before his father's death, Joshua had always been a keen storybook writer, but after the death he had stopped completely, finding it painful because of the memories. Once every few days, Joshua would escape from the house and go and sit by a spectacular oak tree in the forest that surrounded the hill. This is a place he had spent most time alone with his father, where his father would sit and write and Joshua in envy would try to do the same. Father had told him that this was their secret place and not to tell anyone else about it. One day when Joshua was sitting by the tree, just thinking, he heard a rustling in the bushes a few meters away. A few moments later, the strangest creature arose. "Do you want me to follow you?" said Joshua. Joshua follows the thing around the tree until they are met by a strange, daunting figure.
"Welcome, Joshua. I've heard so much about you."
"From who?"
"Why, your father, of course."
Joshua thought he recognized the 2 strange creatures, but he could simply not think from where. The strange man then turned around and waved his arms into the air. All of a sudden, some sort of portal began to open on the side of the tree. In a astonished daze, Joshua fell through the archway and into an amazing room filled with stars twinkling in the night sky. They came across 2 doors. Above the doors, a strange phrase. They were now walking into what Joshua thought to be the most amazing, unbelievable sight he had ever seen. An enormous room, filled with many different creatures, all playing and frolicking and having fun. In the center of the room there was a large burning fire. Joshua seemed to recognize most, if not all, the creatures in the room. But how? Of course, these creatures were the characters of his father Angus's storybooks.
"Joshua, there's someone who wants to speak to you."
Dad!
"Joshua, my boy."
Dad, I thought you were dead.
"Oh, I'm afraid I still am, Joshua. I'm sorry I don't have much time. You must love and embrace Mum. She wants to love you, but she's so sad and she feels so disconnected from you. Continue writing books in my name. Don't be discouraged. You have so much talent, even more than me. Don't let the Verde flame die out."
And so, Joshua and his family embraced, and things became much like they were before. Happy. Joshua began to write stories in all his free time, and he continued to do so for the rest of his life.